Hello. Hello. Yeah, don't want that. I know, Taco. Give me some. Cut me some slack this morning, please, man. Cut me some slack. I'm not used to these early mornings. Oh, hope you're all good, everyone. Hope you're all good. Yeah, I got. How much did I get in? I woke up at like 7, but then the little one woke up. That's why. Late morning, Scott. Yeah. It's all good. It's all good. I'm all prepped. I'm ready. I'm ready. Woken up to Heathrow Airport on fire and closed, which is interesting. Glad I'm not going anywhere special. Bosh, right. Got that power nap in, Johan? Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Thank you for asking. Yeah, we're ready. We're ready to rock and roll. We'll change scene in a second. Interestingly, someone said to me, someone in my group chat said that Liam Lawson had a car issue again. China? Do you have a car issue as well? What I've read. It's another racetrack where Liam Lawson has never been to before. Yeah, so that's the same for a lot of rookies. A lot of rookies have never been to Shanghai because F2 never goes here. Unless you've driven in like World Endurance Championship or something. What else? Anything? Maybe they're chatting out there behind. But yeah, Red Bull's got a lot of work to do. Red Bull's got a lot of work to do. By the looks of it. Saying you ready, woke up 2 minutes ago. The track has resurfaced. Yes, it has been resurfaced. So the track was picking up in temperature though. Grip. The track was picking up in grip. So yeah, we will see lap times. That's going to be really essential. I mean, it's going to depend on how long that soft compound tyre lasts for. They got a single lap in. They got a single push lap in. Really, some of them didn't even get that. So we will see whether or not that soft compound tyre lasts like it didn't, shall we say, in Albert Park. But the difference is at Albert Park, we were on the softest compound tyre available. We're a couple of steps harder this time around. So we've got the C2, C3 and C4 compound. So technically speaking, the softest compound here is the medium compound tyre that was used in Albert Park. So yeah, might not be too bad. But this circuit is a lot harder on the tyres. The drivers were seeing blistering on that front left only after 5 laps, 6 laps. So yeah, going to be intriguing when it comes to the sprint race tomorrow. And, well, the quali session as well. We have Sprint Quali 1, Sprint Quali 2. Let's change scene for you all. So we have medium compound tyres used in the first and second qualifying of the sprints. And then soft compound tyre is used in Q3. So, yeah. Greg, how has been a father now that you have managed the first few months? Yeah, really good. Yeah, really good. She's 6 months, nearly 6 months, couple of weeks. She's already weaning onto like solid foods, and she's like her dad. She loves her food, and her mum too. And yeah, no, it's going really well. So just waiting for her to start crawling, and yeah, the next stage, you know. But no, she's sleeping really well. Can't ask for more at the moment. So yeah, thank you, man. Thanks for asking. Don't we all love food? Some people don't. So, I've been good, thank you, Karen. All good. The Saubers are ahead of Ferrari in the Constructors' Championship. Sauber winning 100%. So I'm just watching the TV coverage, and there are lots of drivers going off at turn 1. Now, was it a combination? It's probably a combination of the two, but it is probably the most high-loaded corner on this circuit, other than maybe turn 13, turn 12 and turn 13. But what we saw is a lot of drivers have snaps through there, probably because the front left was starting to give way. But also, the wind has been really up and down here. Something to keep an eye out on, guys, is the wind speed. So at one point earlier on, it was around 3 kilometers an hour, and then it jumped up to 13, 14. So it has been really up and down today. That can play a big factor on these cars, on these drivers having off. If they reach certain corners at a time when the wind picks up, then that can make or break their lap here. New transition, Charlie. Yeah, new transition for every single race weekend. Just the flag of the country we're in. So the next stage is fencing the racing rig. Yeah, it will be. Hey, Rob, good to see you. Is this track harder to drive on than others? It seems to have an odd shape. Well, is it easier to? I mean, it's a lovely circuit. I love this circuit. I think it provides great racing. It has different qualities and properties to different, that are very different to, say, Albert Park, that we've just come from. This circuit, obviously, there's a lot more harder braking zones. There's a lot more opportunities to overtake. Turn 1 in particular. There's 2 DRS zones here, guys. Down. Actually, no, is there 3? I can't remember if they'd introduced a DRS zone from turn 10 to turn 11. I can't remember. But I know, obviously, we've got one down the biggest back straight, which is the longest straight on the calendar outside of Baku. It's the longest straight on a race circuit, like a traditional race circuit. Baku technically has the longest straight now, or full throttle section, shall we say. But yeah, the actual longest straight is Shanghai, and then there's DRS from the last corner to the finish line. Sorry, from turn 1, which turn 1 is really interesting because of the nature of the corner. It has real swoop. It's very loaded on the left-hand side, so the left-hand tyres take, particularly the front left, takes a bit of a battering. But you can defend on the inside, you can defend on the outside because of the nature of that first sector, and it's so good. Like, the entry speed into turn 1 is amazing. I'd love to sit there at the end of turn 1, because you'd see and feel the braking force of these cars. Morning, Ant. Good to see you. Good to see you, Louis. You was about to say, better not leave fast laps till late today with how many went off. Exactly. Yeah, it's going to be intriguing. I mean, look at it now. Look, it was 6 kilometers an hour a second ago. Now it's up to 14 and a half. That's going to play havoc today. That is really going to play havoc. And also, if someone goes off at turn 1, yellow flag, everyone else behind, 14 and a half now dropped down to 9.5. It is all over the gaff. It is absolutely all over the gaff, the wind direction. It's going to cause havoc. How much time remaining? Apologies, I did have the countdown on here. There we go. Countdown. Listening to the sprint quality while in a train to school. Nice one, Doodle. We'll try and provide some good quality broadcasting here for you. Not long to go until we have quality. Who's going to go out in Q1? Who knows? Who knows? Will we see some more rookies out there? The Red Bulls haven't looked good. So what we saw earlier is, apparently, from what I've read up on, it's kind of true pace from Red Bull. It doesn't look too great, but it is practice. It's practice. There was a lot they were probably trying to fit in within the first practice session, that's for sure. But yeah, we will see. Can the Haas's improve as well? Ollie Behrman, 11th and 13th for them. Big improvements required for them. How far ahead will the McLarens be? That's probably going to be the question. Looking at you doing, don't get caught by a flag again. I know, he was so unlucky last time around. Hopefully they've got that car repaired. Yeah, he had a power steering issue earlier on, so they've had plenty of time to get it fixed. So You tried running after recovering shoulder muscle from 2 weeks ago. It's great fun. Nice, man. Can Ferrari claim pole in the sprint? I don't know. Don't think so. I think McLaren, especially in Norris's hands, just looks very quick. They can, if I think Norris and Piastri potentially have a wobble somewhere and their lap is compromised, whether it be through a yellow flag, whether it be through those, like, I mean, the McLaren hasn't looked planted, that's for sure. The lap that Norris was able to get in, it took him a good few goes at trying. He was very twitchy earlier on, so there's not to say that under these conditions that Norris will be able to repeat that lap that he did. So, can we run a pole prediction? Yeah, of course we can. Yeah. What do we want? Who wants to get on pole? Let's see. It will be teams. Because I only get 4 options. Who will be on pole? McLaren, Ferrari. Mercedes are a bit of a sneaky one. George Russell looked okay, looked sharp. Red Bull, I'm putting Red Bull in, but I tell you what, we'll see. They look like they're struggling a little bit, but that could just be them hiding something and trying something out completely different in FP1 to everyone else. A sprint win is 10. That's a good question. Have they changed it for this year? F1 sprint race points. I know the top 8 score points. So yes, there's only 8 points available, and the top doesn't make sense at all. I don't know why the top 10 don't score points, because you're basically making more than half the field not even relevant in racing in the sprint race. The top 8 get points, and it's from 8 points all the way down to 1 point. No logic behind that, in my personal opinion. I think that's just ridiculous, and they should have points all the way down at minimum to 10, just like it is in the full race. But hey ho. Morning, Daisy. Good to see you. Yes, welcome everyone. Hope you're good. Please continue to hit the like and subscribe button. We have 30 seconds until Sprint Quali 1 gets underway. Yes, it's a sprint race weekend. These drivers have only had, and teams only had, 1 practice session with a new technical directive. 4 days, well, the next day being implemented, and only 4 days to prepare for those flexi wings. And we only have 1 practice session for these drivers and teams to make sure everything is A-OK. So, who has got it right? Who has got it wrong to start off this weekend? If they do have a poor sprint qualifying and a poor sprint race, it is not their weekend over and done with. No, because they have an opportunity to change their setups after the sprint race in preparation for quali, and they can make amends, and that is where more points are on offer. And it's green light, pit exit open, sprint quali 1 is away we go. And well, they will be on the medium compound tyre, ladies and gentlemen. If you're unfamiliar with sprint quali format, or you've just forgotten, because it's been a while since we had one. Actually, not too long, because it was Qatar, wasn't it? Yes, the first 2 sessions in sprint quali are run on the medium compound tyre, and then Q3, the final shootout, is on the soft compound tyre. So, who has got the medium compound tyre up to speed here? They all ran the medium compound tyre earlier on, understandably, because it most likely will be the tyre of choice for the sprint race tomorrow, as it normally is. But we did see a lot of blistering on that tyre. So yes, with a brand new track surface here at Shanghai, Pirelli didn't have time to prepare suitable tyres for this track. So we could see tyres that either last an absolute age, which I don't think we're going to see with what we saw in FP1, or we're going to see tyres that just don't last at all. It's going to be really interesting, that's for sure. And no doubt everyone will be saving a set of hard compound tyres. And this track evolution is going to be key here with a new track surface, with very limited running on this surface. No junior formulas on here either to lay down additional rubber. And well, we are going to see probably track evolution play a key factor here. You may want to be the last driver to go out so that you can benefit from the quickest trap, but we will see. Not long to find out. Not long to find out. The two Mercedes are out there first. Ferrari's making their way out of the pit lane, but let's keep an eye on Antonelli and Russell. Russell out second behind Antonelli, getting a tow, no doubt, or benefiting from a tow from the lead Mercedes of Antonelli at the moment. Was it Hadjar or Tsunoda who had wing issues? I don't know, to be honest with you. Not entirely sure. Right, let's keep an eye on Antonelli, shall we? First driver out there, we can compare him to his teammates, of course, off the back of a great opening weekend for him. But his weakness last week, if you were going to have a look at where he let himself down, it was qualifying. Yes, I know he picked up damage, but it was still a slight mistake that costed him eventually in that qualifying. So can he start off this weekend right with a decent qualifying? And well, I'll tell you what, there's only a couple of hundred separating him and his teammate in the first sector, but very interesting. Okay, so I presume with Bortoleto setting a sub 25 second first sector there, but Russell and Antonelli are actually doing a second warm-up lap. They're doing a second out lap. The two Mercedes, yep, you can see there Russell letting Bortoleto through. So that is why Russell and Antonelli did 28s there, and Bortoleto set purple, but that's now traded to Tsunoda and now to Max Verstappen. So how can the Red Bull Max Verstappen get on? Let's follow him, shall we? As Bortoleto will be the first driver to cross the finish line and set a proper time, as he is on a fast lap here. Might be getting a cheeky little tow from Kimi Antonelli ahead of him. We'll see if that benefits him at all. But Max Verstappen is the driver we want to keep an eye on. 24.5 for him in the first sector. Liam Lawson is out seconds, so he needs to do another lap before he comes round. 27.7 for Max. Understandably, he is setting purples. You expect him to be considerably quicker than that of the other drivers. And, well, Isaac Hadjar has just taken away purple middle sector from Max Verstappen. The RB car has just taken a purple middle sector away from Max Verstappen as Bortoleto sets off 33.693. How is that in relay? I mean, earlier on we saw a 31.5 on the soft compound tyre. Of course, we suspect it's expected to see the medium compound tyre be slower as Tsunoda goes quicker, 4.5 tenths quicker than that of Bortoleto with a 33.2. Max Verstappen does go quickest, a nearly full second quicker than Yuki Tsunoda there. 9 tenths, 32.3 for him. So there is pace in that medium. How about Hadjar? Decent showing there for Isaac Hadjar. What was that there? It was half a second off of Max Verstappen and 4 tenths quicker than Yuki Tsunoda, his more experienced teammate. Pierre Gasly splits the two RB cars there as Alex Albon has a lap time deleted in there for moving out of the way. Right, so let's keep an eye on Antonelli, shall we? He's green in the first sector. Jack Doohan goes up to P4. So yes, Jack Doohan there. I completely didn't notice that he was out on circuit. Every driver out on circuit as it currently stands. All full 20 cars. Ollie Behrman up into P6. He's quicker than the Stake F1 cars, so a bit more pace there in hand for Haas, showing this week rather than they did in Albert Park in Australia, where they were clearly the slowest car. So Haas doing much better at a more traditional race circuit, it seems, as Ocon also goes there, but just behind Bortoleto. It's a great lap from Behrman. With Ocon there as Hamilton goes quickest. Whoa, where's Hamilton come from? 1 tenth quicker than that of Max Verstappen, a 32.2 for him. Oscar Piastri's going quickest though. How about his teammate Charles Leclerc as Antonelli goes P3, 4 tenths off of Max Verstappen. Alonso's goes purple sectors being shown all over the place here as Charles Leclerc, a tenth, 100th of a second separating the two Ferrari drivers there, 1-2. Liam Lawson did set the fastest middle sector briefly until that was snatched away from Oscar Piastri, so a better show in here from Liam Lawson. Carlos Sainz into P9. That's not particularly great from Carlos Sainz there. 1 second off as Liam Lawson finally gets a competitive lap time on the board and is half a second off of Lewis Hamilton and 4 tenths off of his teammate, only just behind Kimi Antonelli there. As Alex Albon goes into P7, and at the moment, Alex Albon 4 tenths quicker than Carlos Sainz. How about Lando Norris though? P3 for Lando. Of course, this is the medium compound tyre, ladies and gentlemen, so it's not the be-all and end-all here in regards to how quick they are, but that is a super lap time from Oscar Piastri. Half a second quicker than that of the two Ferraris and his teammates, importantly there in P4. So, no doubt it is all about these drivers just getting through. The true pace is not how quick they can go go over a single lap on the mediums because it is more a race tyre than a qualifying tyre. As Alonso goes second fastest, well, that just clearly indicates how quickly this track is ramping up, ladies and gentlemen, which we stated, because with all due respect to Fernando Alonso, he should not be putting an Aston Martin in between the McLaren and the two Ferraris. That is for sure. But yes, this track is ramping up. George Russell, the only driver yet to set a decent lap time, shall we say. We'll see how he's getting on. He's set a green sector in the first sector. That's understandable, considering his official lap time is so slow. We will keep an eye on him. Where are his lap times going? So 8th fastest at the moment in the first and second sector. The two Aston Martins, ladies and gentlemen, are in the top 5 in the first sector times. Wow, Aston Martin cooking through that first sector. And Fernando Alonso was in the top 5, of course, for the next 2 sectors, which is why he's doing so well. But let's see how George Russell's going to get on. Where's he going to drag that Mercedes to? Or say drag it. Where is he going to put that Mercedes to? You do suspect he'll be quicker than his teammate, who's 9 tenths off of Oscar Piastri. And, well, it's only 6th for George Russell. Half a second off of Oscar Piastri there. Yes, 4 tenths quicker than Antonelli. But interesting, very interesting. Impeding noted for Lance Stroll and Ollie Behrman there. Of course, it's Stroll involved. I can't remember which way around that is, whether if it's Ollie Behrman who impeded Stroll or if it's the other way round. Alonso does know the track best from all drivers. That is true, Mark. That is very true. However, he's still in an Aston Martin, you know? But anywho, it's not necessarily always relative, these medium compound tyre runs. And of course, the track is getting quicker. So as this session goes on with 3.5 minutes remaining, just over 3.5 minutes remaining, drivers are out there. Are they going to stay on the same set of tyres, or are they going to put on a brand new set of mediums? Of course, they need to be thinking of the race on Sunday as well. How many tyres you use in sprint quali has an effect on how many you have for the race on Sunday. They don't just get replacements. They have an allocation that they have to strategically use across the course of the weekend. And no doubt with the soft compound tyre probably going to degrade very quickly around this high-loaded circuit, and we've seen the blistering occur on the medium compound tyres very early on in FP1. No doubt we're going to see the soft compound tyre not be used, and it'll be the hards and mediums that are used for the race on Sunday. So, who's out there now? Anyone else on a brand new set of mediums? No. Hulkenberg is still in the pit lane. So, at the moment, as it currently stands, guys, we are going to be losing Yuki Tsunoda, Carlos Sainz. Yes, Carlos Sainz, you heard that correctly. Ollie Behrman, Bortoletto, and Esteban Ocon. But it is very tight down the bottom. There is a temp separating just Doohan and Yuki Tsunoda, as Russell and Tsunoda is noted for impeding as well, which is interesting. I presume it is Tsunoda. So, I think that the driver that's last noted, so where it says and that driver, that's the driver that has done the impeding. So the other one is the one that's former is the one who has been impeded. So who's going to be on a lap right now? Is it Russell on a lap? It does seem like he might be on a lap, as Esteban Ocon seemed to be maybe in his way as he went round into the turn 1 entry. Pierre Gasly is on a lap at the moment. He is indeed. He is faster in the middle sector than he was previously, but his middle sector is about a tenth. His first sector was about a tenth off of the pace. But can he improve? It does look like this will be an improvement for Pierre Gasly, and it moves him up into P8 to 32.6 for him. Will that be enough? As Jack Doohan goes up into P8, potentially not. A good lap time there for Jack Doohan, putting his Alpine ahead of his teammate. He was teetering it on the edge there, as Lance Stroll is now in 15th. Did Lance Stroll have his lap time deleted? Lance Stroll had his lap time deleted, I believe so, as he's now down in 15th. He was a bit further up, unless I'm just completely mistaking things, and he was slow everywhere else. Oh no, he was slow everywhere else. Lando Norris fastest in the first sector at 24.2 for him. Sainz is improving as well, a better middle sector for him, first sector for him, but he's importantly just over a tenth slower than his teammate in the first sector. So Carlos Sainz struggling to hook up that Williams compared to his teammate. Maybe a little bit understandable considering he is also very brand new to the team. But Lando Norris is going quickest here. He has a lot of traffic to contend with though. Is he going to be able to get past Liam Lawson without being affected? You would believe so. Hadjar's also improving. There's lots of green sectors here, ladies and gentlemen, as the track is ramping up here in the closing stages. This is basically it for drivers. Lewis Hamilton will be one of the last drivers to actually start a lap. There could be a dash here to get across the finish line. Liam Lawson, is he going to get another opportunity? He needs to get a move on, to be honest with you, to start his lap. He's got 27 seconds to get around the last few corners. He should be able to. As Oscar Piastri is comfortable, he's in the pit lane. As Albon goes P8 at the moment. Carlos Sainz, where is he going to go? Lando Norris goes fastest. 3 attempts quicker than his teammate at 31.396. How about Antonelli? He goes third fastest. 6 attempts, though, behind the McLarens. 3 attempts behind Oscar Piastri. 6 attempts behind that of Lando Norris. Carlos Sainz does go ahead of his teammate just by a couple of thousandths of a second into P10. Isaac Hadjar up to P5. Great lap there from Isaac Hadjar. And Liam Lawson. Why are they pitting Liam Lawson? Lawson's out. Lawson is out. What has happened there? They've put him out at the wrong time, I believe, and Liam Lawson had to let traffic through, and due to that, has run out of time to set another lap. I'm not entirely sure that is Liam Lawson's fault. I will have to review that back. I did say he needed to get a move on, or was it just his decision out on track to let those cars through? But Lewis Hamilton fastest in the middle sector for him as Charles Leclerc went up into P2. He is in... Charles Leclerc went just a couple of... just over attempts slower than that of Lando Norris, splitting the 2 McLarens. Max Verstappen half a second off of Lando Norris there into P4. Ollie Behrman up into P9. Whoa, great lap time there from Ollie Behrman as Lewis Hamilton goes fastest. 31.2. The Ferraris, are they back? Are the Ferraris back? We will see. It is on the medium compound tyre, ladies and gentlemen, but that looks much better for Lewis Hamilton and the Ferraris in general, with Charles Leclerc up there as well, splitting the 2 McLarens. Antonelli moves down into P7. Alonso moves up into P8. And, well, I believe that is it, as Ocon only improves to P18. And we have lost Liam Lawson, who is dead last in P20. No, Nico Hulkenberg in P19. Ocon in P18. Gasly in 17th. And Doohan in P16. And once again, Gabriel Bortoleto out-qualifies his teammate and gets the Stake F1 car out of Q1. Great qualifying once again from Bortoleto. Great qualifying. You're talking hundredths of a second, 400ths of a second separating Gabriel Bortoleto and Jack Doohan there. But it's the fine margins that mean everything in F1, and Bortoleto has managed to get his Stake F1 car out of Q1 once again. The Williams were cutting it a bit fine there, only a tenth ahead of the drop zone in P13 and P14. And, well, Ollie Behrman, what a lap from him. Also out-qualifying his teammate Esteban Ocon. It won't be his final qualifying position in P10, but the fact of that he put 4 temps on his own teammate there is good going for the young Englishman, who had a terrible showing out in Australia last time around. But there we go. As Liam Lawson said, I'm really sorry about that. I just could not get the tyres down. Interesting. So Liam Lawson struggling with the prep of the tyres. It did seem also, hang on, just watching his lap. Did he start his lap? So he went off for track limits. Did he even get a second run? I think he did get a second run. He had track limits and then he wasn't able to go again. Ooh, okay. Driver error. I take it back. Driver error from Liam Lawson. So yeah, not good start to his weekend. Why is there so many double yellows out there, by the way, ladies and gentlemen? Why is there so many double yellows being thrown? What are they doing? Clearing the track? Is there gravel out on circuit? What are they doing? Is there dust? Didn't change the new tyres. You're not going to take new tyres, I don't think, because you need to be thinking about the sprint race tomorrow and the race on Sunday. But yeah, not a good start to Liam Lawson's Red Bull career, that's for sure. We'll have a look back at it, but it seems like, yeah, he struggled with the tyres there, and he's learning the hard way, isn't he? He's learning the hard way. So does the qualify for the main race as well? No, Brent. This is only for sprint qualify for the sprint race. We will have a separate qualifying tomorrow. Tomorrow afternoon, or same time tomorrow morning for me. And then what will happen is that we will have the drivers be able to change their setups, make changes to their car, and then they lock it in again for qualifying and then the race on Sunday. The fronts gave up. What, for Liam? Yeah, but early on. He's saying he didn't prep the tyres correctly, so we will see. But Max Verstappen, 7 tenths off of Lewis Hamilton there at the end. Piastri, 5 tenths off. It's still really kind of unrepresentative, I think, because we very rarely see... I mean, the only time we ever see them do proper push laps like this on low fuel is in sprint quali. So it's not really representative to what we'll see. Maybe unless you're kind of coming to the end of a race, but we don't suspect to see that race. Why is there so many yellows out there? What is going on at the moment with the marshal posts? Very bizarre. But yes. Anyway, we're about to get going again. One last session here. Q2 on the medium compound tyre, and then the Q3, where we should see single lap relative pace to these teams and these drivers and how they're getting on the soft compound tyre, which is going to be interesting. So Liam this year could be going for a massive learning curve. Yeah, look, I don't think they're going to get rid of Liam regardless of anything, even if he fails to make it out of Q1 and stuff like that. Like, as long as they see internal improvement and they see something there, they'll give him time, because you're heading into a completely different new regulation set in 2026. And regardless if you're a Yuki fan, it's never happening. It's never happening. Not when you're going to a Ford partnership and moving away from Honda. So, what rear wing setup do they have for this track? Is it the same as the Aussie GP? It's a medium to low. It's like a medium downforce wing, medium to low downforce wing, because you need the top speed, but of course you need the corners as well. You need the cornering ability as well. Who will be on pole? I still think Lando Norris has got pace in hand, especially when it comes to soft compound tyre. But we'll see. We'll see. The Ferraris are showing good, though. The Ferraris are showing good. So, hang on. Lawson ready yet? Just repeating, mate. I'm really sorry. I just could not get the tyres down. Just they're reviewing Liam Lawson's lap to see exactly what he did as he heads down into the first corner, as we're about to get underway in SQ2. And the Red Bull car there is a bit twitchy, as we saw at Albert Park. More rear traction issues out of the first sector. I wonder if he's got still the same parts as Max, or if it's just he's evidently struggling with the car. He is evidently struggling with it. Just watching his lap. Yeah, can't hit the apexes at the moment. He's struggling with that car. It's twitchy. But anyway, green light, pit exit open. SQ2 is underway, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. Yes, James. Remember to like the stream and subscribe. It really does help the channel and lets me know that you've been enjoying these streams. So big thank you all. So we first lost out in SQ1. Doohan, Gasly, Ocon, Hulkenberg and Lawson. And I'm surprised we lost the 2 Alpines there. And, well, Gabriel Bortoletto once again making it through into Q2 in that Stake F1 car. So doing a great job thus far for him in starting his F1 career. But yes, another qualifying session here on the medium compound tyre. So let's see how they get on. Why is that? That's really thrown me off there. Let's move that back. Even if it shows half. There we go. But right, Antonelli first out again. Are we going to see... So they're all on brand new sets of mediums, apart from the drivers that aren't out yet, which is Alonso, Hadjar, Behrman, Tsunoda, Stroll, Sainz, Albon. I'm intrigued to see how Max Verstappen gets on. Looks like he's been a little bit off the pace on that Red Bull. So I think Ferrari messed up last race because it was wet. They are fast in the dry. Well, they struggled in the dry conditions as well, with the nature of the circuit. As we said, Albert Park is a unique circuit. It's a street circuit, which, isn't always necessarily representative to the GP circuits. So Shanghai, though, is your traditional GP circuit. It's a great racetrack. It's just had a new surface relayed as well, and that could benefit some teams. So we will see. Right, Antonelli, first driver out there. Is it a first flying lap for him? With the gap that he's got to George Russell, I presume it probably will be. Wind speed has increased. It's up to 14 kilometers an hour at the moment. We may see that play a factor here in this qualifying session. Keep an eye out on that. It has played some havoc earlier on in FP1, that's for sure. But Anthony, let's see what his first sector time is. It will give us a good indication if he is on a push lap or not. And yes, a 29 point... No, he's on another outlap, Antonelli. He's on another outlap. He's like 4 seconds slower than what he should be. So, no, we're seeing drivers do 2 outlaps on this set of medium compound tyres to get them up to temperature. Gabriel Bortoletto got, I think, maybe potentially impeded by George Russell. Ooh, it looked like he really had to slow for George Russell there. We'll see if that has a penalty at all, as Max Verstappen has done a 24.377 and Norris does a 24.2, so that's quicker. So this track that's much quicker than what we saw earlier on in SQ1 for Max Verstappen. So he is getting a move on, that is for sure. Gabriel Bortoletto, his sim racing teammate, friend, giving him a cheeky little toe down the middle straight there into turn 11. See if that helps him at all. Would Hamilton be top 3 today? Potentially. Yeah, potentially, we will see. Very surprising difference between tracks for Alpine, so much slower than Aussie GP. Exactly. Things have flipped on their heads. Right, so Max Verstappen, is he getting a tow from his best friend, George Russell? We know how well they get on as they head down into the braking zone of turn 14. This is an improvement for Max Verstappen than what we saw earlier on, though, as Lando Norris goes purple in the middle sector as well. So Antonelli now starting his first flying lap there. You can see that lap considerably slow as it was a prep lap. As a 31.5 for Max Verstappen there, that's very, very good for him. That's the quickest we saw thus far in qualifying. But Lando Norris smashes it out the park with 3.5 tenths quicker with a 31.1. Decent showing there. How about Lewis Hamilton? How's he getting on? Well, he's not that far off the pace of Max Verstappen, it seems. Actually, no, he is. He is a little bit off the pace here on his first lap here, Lewis Hamilton. It's going to be slower than Max Verstappen, it seems. And it is 9.5 tenths slower, 32.1 for him. So, not a good lap for Lewis. Charles Leclerc is, had to bail out of his middle sector, you can see there. 24.5 in the first sector for him. But in the middle sector, he has had a wobble somewhere that has caused him to back out of that lap. Kimi Antonelli, a 24.6 for him in the first sector, a 27.8 for him in the second sector, and at the moment, this is slightly slower than Lewis Hamilton by about a couple of tenths or so. George Russell is slower than Lewis Hamilton as well as it currently stands, and he is going to be out qualifying his teammate at the moment. Oscar Piastri also had a wobble in the middle sector of 39.0, you can see for him there. So he'll be looking to go again, as will the Ferraris, no doubt. Interestingly enough, though, you can see the drivers, the midfield teams, saving that single set of brand new mediums that they probably only have available to them, not going out there and wasting any time on a set of used or a couple of brand new sets of mediums. They're waiting for that last moment, that last run where the track is at its grippiest and has evolved as such. So Antonelli up into P3. Oh, he did pip Lewis Hamilton there with a good last sector into P3, and George Russell is in P5. But you can see quite a gap there, isn't there? 9 tenths, almost a full second from P3 to Lando Norris in P1. Absolutely mega time there. But we'll see how Oscar Piastri gets on. No purples for him at the moment. He is second in the first sector. He's second in the second sector. And, well, let's see how he gets on in the last. Interestingly enough, Lewis Hamilton is fastest in the second and third sector. Well, from what we've seen lap time-wise already in qualifying, that's overall qualifying, not necessarily this session. So, Piastri up into P2, separating. He's back behind his teammate by nearly a couple of tenths. 1.8, 18 hundredths there, you can see. Kimi, the best rookie this season. Well, it's very early on. Very early on. More wobbles than jelly out there, Lily. I know. Yeah, I mean, that wind temperature is playing havoc at the moment as Charles Leclerc just pips his teammate. Only just pips Lewis Hamilton by a couple of hundredths of a second there into P5. But we now have the Williams drivers out there as well. They're on their prep laps. We have Bortoletto dive into the pit lane as he hasn't really been able to get a decent lap in yet. Ollie Behrman is out as well. A good showing from him. It'd be good if he can maybe qualify high up in Q2. Getting out of Q3 would be a tall order for him. Be absolutely amazing if he does, but we will see. He did Stuffeyy put in P10 in Q1, so can he do the same again in Q2? But again, if through to Q2 is a much better improvement over his teammate and from what we saw from Haas last week. So Sainz is on his lap. Let's keep an eye on Carlos Sainz and Alex Albon. Alex Albon has the slight better of Carlos Sainz at the moment, or seems to be getting up to speed quicker than Carlos Sainz here this weekend. So Carlos Sainz through that tricky turn 1, turn 2, and he's gone very slow, Carlos Sainz there. Carlos Sainz has gone very slow. I wonder if Sainz has already had a wobble there or had an off through Sector 1. As George Russell is saying, the tyres aren't working, guys. No axles, no grip. And it seems really the McLarens and maybe Max are the only drivers who have been able to switch their tyres on early enough. The drivers struggling to get their tyres up to temperature early on, as I think Sainz is almost... Yeah, 31.7 for him in the first sector. And okay, Alex Albon at 27.6. So yeah, both Williams are doing a second outlap. That's why they're going so slow. So do not fear, Williams fans and Carlos Sainz fans. Isaac Hadjar is starting his lap now as well. Hopefully, I mean, I can't imagine he's got time to go for a second outlap. So Isaac Hadjar, let's see how the young Frenchman gets on. Can he put his car into Q3? He had a good qualifying performance in Albert Park last time around in Australia. The McLarens think they've done enough. They're in the pit lane, as is Max Verstappen, understandably. The Ferraris are still out there. Will they go again? I presume they probably will. Let's see if Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc dip into the pits. It's a bit too tight, I think, for those drivers. Yes, so Lewis Hamilton going again as well. Isaac Hadjar, no. Another slow first sector. So do these drivers think they've got enough time to do another lap, or is that an error by Isaac Hadjar there into the first sector of 32.2? That clearly indicates a wobble, or he's doing another outlap. I'm not sure he's going to have enough time with only a minute remaining. Maybe he will to get round, but he's going to take a bit out of his tyres, that's for sure. Really intrigued. So Ollie Behrman has got to be on a flying lap right now. He does not have enough time to be able to go round and make it to the start-finish line. But Ollie Behrman, we'll see how he gets on. So Alex Albon up into P9. They're now on their actual flying laps. Let's keep an eye on the Williams. Lots to keep an eye on here. So greens in the first sector for Leclerc and Hamilton. Much better improvement for them. But still a couple of attempts off of that first sector time set by Lando Norris. As Hamilton does go fastest in the middle sector. He has been quickest in the middle sector all day today. He has got that Ferrari hooked up through there. He loves that section. Of course, a 6-time winner here at the Shanghai circuit. Charles Leclerc is a couple of attempts behind his teammate in that middle sector. And he's actually a few attempts behind his teammate at this stage on this lap, but he is improving. They both are improving. As Yuki goes up into P4, and that is a clear indication there of how this track is ramping up in the closing stages of this qualifying session. No drivers, whoever's out there now, is on their lap. You can see green sectors across the board. Everyone is improving, but how much by? As Lewis goes up into P3, that is a good last sector. He's a couple of attempts, 3 attempts off of his last sector time there. His best last sector time, so he could have potentially gone ahead of Lando Norris there if he hooked that up. So a slight error maybe from Lewis Hamilton in the last couple of corners. Alonso only up into P8. Behrman up into P9. It's good, but that's probably not going to be good enough with the Williams still yet to set a lap time. And the 2 Mercedes as well, who are improving as Carlos Sainz does not improve. Carlos Sainz has a big error in the last sector and goes only P12. Bortoletto does improve. He also has a similar moment in the last sector as well, as Albon is into Q3 again, out-qualifies his teammate Carlos Sainz. How about the Mercedes? The pressure is on for both of these 2 drivers. Kimi Antonelli is improving, a 24.4 in the first sector, a 27.5 in the second. Is it going to be enough, though? I do presume it will be, as Ollie Behrman is currently hoping he can sneak his way into Q3, but I don't think he will, as Antonelli heads up into P4 ahead of Max Verstappen, pushes Ollie Behrman out. It's now Fernando Alonso at risk, with George Russell still improving here. Where can he go? He goes P2, and yes, unfortunately, for Fernando Alonso, it's a valiant effort for him, but he's been out-qualified by Lance Stroll. Lance Stroll has out-qualified Fernando Alonso in this sprint quali. And well, we can see that we've lost Alonso, Behrman, Sainz, Bortoletto, and as Isaac Hadjar there, it looks like as Isaac Hadjar just wasn't able to get that actual last lap in. He wasn't able to set an official lap. So unfortunately for Isaac Hadjar, yes, he just made an error in the first sector and ran out of time. So unfortunately, yes, Hadjar still made it through to Q2, but unfortunate error for him there. Bortoletto in P14. Great effort from him. Sainz P13. Behrman P12. Doing much, much better there. I mean, the fact of that Ollie Behrman is only... Oh, look at Ollie Behrman. The fact of it, he's only 2 tenths off of Yuki Tsunoda, Fernando Alonso, and 3 tenths of Lance Stroll there is a fair effort. But look at that. Less than 4 tenths separating the top 8 drivers as it currently stands. And, well, we're now getting to the business end. Q3, moments away, where they'll be on the soft compound tyre. And this should give us a good indication of where these drivers are over a true single lap pace on the softs, potentially for qualifying tomorrow. So just watching Isaac Hadjar's moment into turn 1, and what happened? Oh, he lost the rear. The front lefts are really struggling to stay on. They're struggling to stay on the track, really. They just give way through that long right-hander into turn 1. And he was able to control the car, but that's why he had that wobble, and then he didn't have enough time to start another lap. So shame for him. Shame for him. Hadjar gave Yuki a toe down the back straight. Not that big of a one, but I think that gave Yuki Q3. I mean, it's the fine margins. It's 0.02 of a second Yuki to Fernando Alonso. That could have been the difference. That potentially could have been the difference. So Alex better pushing the car, yes. So Lance Stroll getting it through. Credit where it's due. Quietly going about his business. Got through into Q3. So, yeah. But Behrman, impressive there. Behrman, much impressive. Looks much better for Haas this weekend. But maybe we'll see. Can they make improvements, or will they fall behind as the teams maybe learn how to get up to scratch with these cars over the sprint race and then making setup changes? We'll see. Hey CJ, welcome everyone. Yes, welcome. Hope you're all good. Over 2,000 of you here for this morning. Well, my morning anyway. For most of you, it's kind of later on in the day. But a big thank you. Continue to hit that like and subscribe button, guys. Let's see if we can get to 36,500. Can we? Can we get to 36,500? You can do it. You can do it. We'll be back, of course, tomorrow for the sprint race. An early one for me. Oh, 3:30 in the morning. I'll deal with it. I'll deal with it. And then we have the full qualifying same time again tomorrow, 7:30. So we'll be live a little bit before that. The V-Carb is only just over 2 tenths slower than Red Bull. See how they go on the softs. Yes, that'll be intriguing. Yeah, I mean, look, the Red Bull seems to still be a handful. So what happened with Liam Lawson? Just couldn't get a decent lap in. Yeah, tyres gave way, and he's just fighting that car. However they've decided to set it up, or whether it's the car itself, he is wrestling that car, and he just can't get the most out of it compared to what Max can at the moment. So, yeah, I'm sure he'll get up to speed with it, but it's very indicative of what that Red Bull car is, isn't it? So, good job, Lawson. Close enough. Welcome back, Sergio Press. RB second car, I have problem with racing engineer. Max GP is best. Yeah, he's a good engineer. I mean, there is a discussion. There is a discussion to be had, isn't there? But, like, I know it may seem like a Lawson apologiser here, but if Lawson also does really struggle to control this car this year, like, what is up with that second seat at Red Bull? Like, what is up with it? There's clearly something that they're doing with that car, with the design of that car, that just only favours one driver. Which is fair enough when he's Max Verstappen, but at the same time, Max might not be at Red Bull forever. Are you going to create a car that is just only drivable for one driver, and then that driver leaves, and then where does that leave you? So, no clear best in the midfield at the moment, Raven. No. Is Stroll stepping up now? Newey's on the payroll? Say it ain't so. I don't think so, Lily. No, hang on. They asked Charles Leclerc to swap the cars out on the racetrack for track position. And Charles Leclerc was like, well, that's a bit bizarre because I'm a bit in the shit as well. Interesting. Interesting decision there for the Ferrari driver. Maybe they didn't think Lewis Hamilton was going to get good enough, but really want Lawson to do well. If anyone else was there, they would struggle too. This is it, Will. Like, I want him to do well. if it turns out that, I'm not making excuses for it, but if it does turn out that yes, it is like Liam Lawson as well, but does poorly, I think you have to look back in hindsight and look at or look back at Perez's performances and go, do you know what? Yeah, there's valid reasons for why he wasn't on the pace of Max and why he struggled so much. Same as Alex Albon, same as Pierre Gasly. 4 drivers is a pattern. It's not a coincidence that they can't drive that second car. So Liam's car looks very similar to the same problems that Checo's been having for the last year and a half. Yeah, I mean, look, the thing is that as Q3 has just got underway, guys, we have 8 minutes, 7.5 minutes to find out who will be on sprint pole. But I'm just going to close the poll, actually, while I'm at it, and then I'll finish my points. 57% of you think McLaren will be on pole position, so understandable. I see that. What swapping the position on track, Sean, so that Lewis basically got a tow from Charles Leclerc, I think it was. I think that was. So actually, no, I don't think it was. I don't know. I can't remember, to be honest with you. I think that's what the initial point was. So don't put Yuki in Red Bull. He's doing well in racing balls. Well, yeah, it becomes a point where actually it's a poison chalice. Even though it is a car that can win maybe races or fight towards the front of the grid, can it truly? Is it literally only designed around one driver with a unique driving style? And which is a credit and talent to Max. But at the same time, anyone else goes in that second seat. It's like anyone who's won a world championship has a car that they're at least able to manage and drive, and they have helped develop around them because they're the quickest driver. So just because that's not to say that Max won't be able to jump in. I mean, Max may be able to jump into McLaren and maybe not get the best out of it because maybe it's a bit more understeery for him, you know, and he wants more of a front end, as we've seen that Alex Albon interview describe it very well. So you're a Kiwi and wanting to do well, so it'll be interesting. Thank you, mate. Yeah, I like Lawson. I want all the rookies to do well. I think it's good for F1 if all the rookies do well. Because the last thing we want, with respect, is the same old names who are maybe waiting in the wings to get another opportunity or a third opportunity back onto the grid, you know? We want that freshness. Always want the new blood to do well. But anywho, right, SQ1, soft compound tyres for the first time. Let's see who has the quickest pace here over a single lap on the true qualifying tyre. We may have seen drivers and teams do relatively well on the medium because it's not a tyre that we usually see qualified on. That is for sure, other than sprint qualifying. But let's see how Oscar Piastri gets on. So, Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris just quickly trading fastest first sectors there. And that's still not as quick as the first sector time, but Lando Norris put only by a couple of hundredths in the SQ2 session. How about Antonelli and George Russell? I can't imagine there's going to be 2 laps of warm-up here on this soft compound tyre as well. George Russell and Antonelli. Antonelli a bit slower, a couple of attempts slower in that first sector. George Russell a tenth slower, only a couple of hundredths actually slower than that of Norris and Piastri. So George Russell looking good at this stage of qualifying. Piastri fastest in the middle sector as once again Antonelli a good few tenths off the pace compared to the Mercedes to McLaren's, but George Russell, I'll tell you what, is neck and neck with the McLaren drivers at the moment. Well, I said the McLaren drivers with Lando Norris as Oscar Piastri is flying at the moment, barring a wicked last sector from Lando Norris. It is going to be Oscar Piastri on provisional pole as it stands. He is on provisional pole because it's a sub 31 and he's the only driver to set a lap time at the moment, but Lando Norris has one more corner to navigate through, and where does he go? Lando Norris, he goes second with a 31.39. He lost considerable amount of time there in the last sector as well. 3 tenths off of his teammate there. 4 tenths overall. And Antonelli is 8 tenths slower. As you can see on his lap times, his sector times, he was bleeding time there. George Russell goes second fastest, splits the 2 McLarens, and is just 2 and a bit tenths behind Oscar Piastri. But Oscar Piastri really hooked up that middle and last sector, putting a couple of tenths over basically everyone. Lando Norris, yep, struggling in that last sector. Maybe took a bit too much out of his tyres by them for that traction. Now we hand it over to you, Ferrari of Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc. Can we see Max Verstappen do something magical as we have seen many times before, as they all stayed within track limits, Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri. So yeah, just a slow sector there for Lando Norris in the middle and particularly the last. What's wrong with Verstappen? Nothing wrong with Verstappen at the moment. It does look like that Red Bull is a bit twitchy. I mean, we saw it definitely being twitchy in Lawson's hands, but in Max's hands, it looks twitchy as well. But we'll see. We've seen Max dig deep. It did look like in the running that we saw in FP1 that the Red Bull was a bit off the pace. But different kettle of fish when it comes to qualifying, as we know. So, Alex Albon is going to be starting his lap. Can he put in another great performance here in qualifying? How about Yuki Tsunoda as well? We'll see how he gets on. P10 getting through. I mean, he's not out yet. He's only driving not out of the pit lane, maybe saving a set of fresh softs. Lance Stroll's out on a used set, which I think may be a little bit pointless, but we will see. But right, Lewis Hamilton starting his lap. Charles Leclerc close behind as well, coming through the last corner. Let's see how these drivers get on. That wind speed has just picked up a bit as they head down into the first corner. We've seen people get caught out by that a couple of times. As Alex Albon, what's his first sector time? Did look like he got bunched up to Lewis Hamilton there, and I think Albon might have had a little bit of a wobble through the first sector. We will see as that gap is considerably closer to, yes, Lewis Hamilton. And Albon's backed out of it. Albon has backed out of it as Lewis Hamilton goes fastest in the first sector. Lewis Hamilton, a 24.2 for him. And how about his teammate Charles Leclerc, a 24.3. He's been quickest through the middle sector out of anyone today, Lewis Hamilton. He's hooked it up through here. Let's see. Is it another purple as he makes his way into the sharp braking zone of turn 9, then into the left-hander of turn 10, down the mini back straight there. As Lando Norris trounces everyone in that middle sector there by going 2 tenths faster than Lewis Hamilton and his teammate in the first sector. Look, Lando Norris has taken that personally, that Oscar Piastri has out-qualified him thus far and he's on provisional pole, as Lewis Hamilton does set the fastest middle sector out of anyone. I said he likes it through there, but let's see how much top speed does that Ferrari have. The last sector is where Lewis has kind of been a little bit off the pace, shall we say, than not everyone else, but it's the sector where he has mostly let himself down when he's had a poor lap. The hard braking zone of turn 14. He has turn 16. Keep it within track limits, Lewis. You can do it here. As Charles Leclerc, a 27.3, him in the middle sector. It's not going to be a shabby time from him. As yes, just by a couple of hundredths of a second, Lewis Hamilton is on your provisional pole position here in the sprint quali. But Lando Norris is flying at the moment, but he's lost a couple of tenths that he gained in the first sector there over Lewis Hamilton. It's all about this last sector, really. I don't think Oscar Piastri can improve. He may do. Oh, no, he doesn't, even with a fastest last sector. So it's all about Lando Norris here. And Norris is in the pits. Norris is in the pits, and I believe that is Lewis Hamilton, barring Lance Stroll, barring Max Verstappen, on provisional pole. It's all about Max Verstappen now. What can he do? He's the sole driver out there who can remove Lewis Hamilton from his first pole position. Okay, it's a sprint pole position in a Ferrari driver. All eyes on Verstappen. And well, it's pretty neck and neck through the first sector. The second sector, he's a tenth off of Lewis Hamilton. It's all about this last sector for the Red Bull of Max Verstappen. How quick is that Red Bull in a straight line? He heads down, full throttle, DRS open down to the hard braking zone of turn 14. There's just 3 more corners for Max Verstappen to navigate and for Lewis Hamilton to wait to see whether or not he's got his first pole position in a Ferrari. What can Max Verstappen do? The Red Bull looks a bit slow, it looks twitchy, but we've seen magic conjured up by the Dutchman before. It's full throttle to the finish line, and where does Max Verstappen go? Second by 18 hundredths of a second, and Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position alongside the Red Bull of Max Verstappen. Oscar Piastri P3, Charles Leclerc P4, George Russell P5, Lando Norris P6, Kimi Antonelli P7, Albon goes up into P8, pushing Lance Stroll down into P9. Yuki Tsunoda still on a flying lap. He's the last driver on a flying lap. This qualifying session is not over and done with yet. Yes, we'll discuss Lewis Hamilton, but where can Yuki in that RB car make it? Is he going to stay P10? Is he going to be best of the rest? Can he get ahead of Albon? He can! And Yuki Tsunoda, 2 weeks in a row, out-qualifies Alex Albon, becomes the best of the rest, and is in P8. What a qualifying 18 thousandths, not 1800ths of a second. Lewis Hamilton, when the comments were that he was over the hill, that his qualifying performance, will he, won't he? He's a man who's washed, and look at that. He's just put it on sprint quali pole. That is magical. And I don't care, I'm a Lewis Hamilton fan. I will say it how it is. That is utterly brilliant to see. And it's utterly brilliant to see Max Verstappen drag a Red Bull that has looked twitchy. It has looked out of control into P2. And, well, what an absolute P2. You forgot how much of a Lewis simp I am. I don't care. If you want unbiasedness, go somewhere else. I'm allowed to support where I want to support as much as you are. So, yeah, wow. Hamilton and Verstappen on the front row into turn 1. Oh, bring it on. Bring it on. Bring it on. Lewis Hamilton is just laughing on the radio at the moment. It's a happy laugh. Wow. Unbelievable. Let's have a rundown of this grid for tomorrow. I don't believe there'll be any... Well, there may be some penalties, maybe for some impeding. I don't know if they've been investigated and cleared yet, but we will see. But Lewis Hamilton, yes, you heard that correctly. Lewis Hamilton is on pole position for the sprint for the sprint race tomorrow. Max Verstappen, so close to getting it on the pole position there in P2. Oscar Piastri in P3. The Chinese crowd, lots of Ferrari shirts there in support of Lewis Hamilton and Ferrari, of course. Lots of flags, lots of 44 flags, actually. It shows how popular he is. Oscar Piastri in P3. Look at that. The top 3 separated by less than 1/10 again. So close qualifying. Honestly, you're talking the finest margins now separating these drivers in this last year of this regulation set. Charles Leclerc in P4, George Russell in P5, Norris in P6. What happened there for him? He backed out. He obviously made a mistake in that last sector. I like to see and wonder if he locked up or not, because he dived straight into the pit lane. So Norris P6, Antonelli P7, Tsunoda P8, Albon P9, Lance Stroll P10. Fernando Alonso in P11, Ollie Behrman, a great showing by him in P12, Carlos Sainz in P13. He's maybe struggling to get up to speed with that Williams. He'll be looking for an improved performance tomorrow. Bortoletto again making it through to Q2. A great drive from him in P14. Isaac Hadjar could have been better for him. He had that big wobble through the first corner. Otherwise, it could have been another really good qualifying for him in P15. Jack Doohan and Pierre Gasly out. I'm a bit shocked to see the two Alpines out there in Q1. Esteban Ocon in P18, some way off of his teammate's pace of Ollie Behrman. Nico Hulkenberg out-qualified again by his teammate, second race in a row. And then Liam Lawson just struggling, evidently, with that Red Bull car, unable to get a decent lap in. And, he's down in P20. And that is your starting grid for tomorrow for the sprint race, barring any penalties that will be coming in for impeding drivers, which I'm not sure if they've been investigated or not. Not entirely sure if they've been cleared or not, but I think they have. So, woo! How many laps does the Chinese GP have? I don't know, Brownie. I actually don't know. I'll check in a second. So, but Lewis Mag got the quali. Max Verstappen for the win. Maybe. I mean, this is the thing: is that we don't know what the race pace is of any of these teams. We don't. We know McLaren looks good, even on quali and race trim. There was more there for them. Piastri, once again, just only out-qualified by less than a 1/10 of a second. But, yeah, it could be a case of tomorrow where Ferrari and Red Bull just struggle with the tyres, and that supreme tyre management that we saw from McLaren in Albert Park be prevalent here again. And they just drive past the Ferraris and the Red Bull with no worry in the world. So, because they pitted Lando. Lando dived into the pits because he made a big error in the last sector, I presume. I will see, no doubt, an image of it, of what exactly happened with him in the last sector. But no doubt he probably locked up and, yeah, there was no way he was going to make time in the last corner. So he probably just dived straight into the pit lane. Max can win the championship with many second places and just a few wins. I tell you what, it's not out of the realms of possibility. We've said this. Max is clearly the number one driver. Clearly doesn't have to worry about Lawson. And if Piastri and Norris fight each other, if Hamilton fights them, Max can just be there, and pick up those points. Will the main race be a two-stop strategy? I think so, Glenn. From what we saw from the tyres blistering very early on in their life, the mediums, I don't think that medium-ton compound tyre is going to go very long in in the race. So unless the hard compound tyre goes a fair old distance, I think it'll be a 2-stop on Sunday, which makes things interesting. 56 laps is it, Mark? Max has the opportunity to give Lewis crazy PTSD tomorrow. Well, Max does always seem to see red whenever he sees Lewis Hamilton. And now he's literally going to see red because, of course, he's in that Ferrari. The top 5 positions are held by 4 different manufacturers. Yeah, that is great to see. It is great to see. Albert Park was an obscure one. It truly does not reflect the tyre deck of every team. No, it doesn't, Rab. No, but what it did kind of showcase is that in relation to tyre management, especially in regards to temperatures, McLaren were much better than that of the Ferraris and the Red Bulls. So we'll see. Problem is that Lawson can't take points away. No, look, tomorrow at least Lawson will have an opportunity to have another practice session, pretty much. He'll have another practice session to try and dial that car in, and then it's all about reset and go again for qualifying in the afternoon, and then the race on Sunday. So there's still a possibility for Lawson to have a good weekend. It's how you finish it, not necessarily how you start it. But yeah, you look at the footage, quite evidently that Red Bull is very twitchy in Lawson's hands. Very, very twitchy. It's twitchy in Max's hands, but Lawson obviously struggling to control that car compared to Max, who we know is so good at him. Can't wait to see Fred's proud face. I know. Well, what's interesting there, guys, is that Lewis outqualified Charles Leclerc by 2 tenths. I think many were expecting that. Oh, that, by the way, that's the 500th Grand Prix that Pirelli have done. That is the worst trophy ever. That is the worst qualifying trophy ever. So, just a quick one here, guys, before I shoot off. Just watching Lando Norris down into the turn 14 corner. What happened to him? Big old lock-up, off track. Yeah, that's the reason why he pitted. So, big error there for Lando Norris. Big error. Pushing just a bit too hard. And he locked up. So, yeah, we'll see lots of that probably tomorrow in the sprint race. And, well, throughout the duration of this weekend. So, yeah. They gave Bro a coffee mug. It looked like that, Josh, didn't it? It really did look like it. It was the worst qualifying trophy ever. Just give me that tyre where you sign it. That's much better. So, top 10 cars are 7 different manufacturers. Speed traps? Yeah, I'll show you the speed traps. I'll show you the sector times are kind of irrelevant, to be honest with you, because the sector times aren't per qualifying session. It's throughout qualifying as a whole. So I'm not really going to show you that, but I'll show you the speed traps, and then I've got to shoot because I've got to start my working day. You can see here, Yuki Tsunoda fastest there, but you can see Lewis Hamilton. You can see Sector 2, like, look, Sector 1 and Sector 2, Lewis Hamilton up there, both Ferraris up there in the middle sector, whereas you compare that to the McLarens, like, they're losing time, aren't they? They're losing time in that middle sector, aren't they? The McLarens, that's for sure. And in the last sector as well, you can see, look, quite down on top speed. 332, 333 compared to top speeds of 337 and 335 of Leclerc and Hamilton. I mean, that's only a couple of kilometers an hour, but with how long that back straight is, that can be quite a bit of time. So, mistake 2 of Norris this season. The difference was that mistake 1 still meant he won the race. There's no rain this weekend, Sean. There's no rain for this weekend. I'll show you sector times anyway, but bear in mind that this is not for Q3. This is for the qualifying session overall. So you can see there, Lewis Hamilton. I mean, Lewis Hamilton was top of sector 2 from the start of qualifying. Like, he dominated that second sector. The third sector, he was a little bit in and out of. While he's up there in P3, he had a couple of laps where he lost quite a bit of time, which I get is understandable, for, as we saw with Lando Norris. Like, a lot of those drivers, like, you really have to hit your braking marker right there down into turn 14. But Lando Norris, look, a 24.0. He's 2 tenths faster than anyone in that first sector, but then he's losing that time in the second sector. And then the last sector, well, I think it would have been very, very close. It would have been very close. If he'd... Let's have a look there. I mean, yeah, if he'd set his fastest last sector there, I'll tell you, it would have been hundreds of a second between them heading across the line, between Norris and Hamilton. That's for sure. Like, between all four of them. All 4 of them. It could have been top 4 cars separated by less than a tenth. I think like that would have been. That's what we were looking for there if Norris didn't lock up, but he did. So that is our grid for tomorrow, guys. That is our grid for tomorrow. Max is unreal. How is he P2? I know. Well, I'm not just saying. This is also clever by Max and Red Bull because they've sent him out late. They've sent him out very late in the day. I did say track evolution was going to be key, and other than Yuki Tsunoda, he was the last driver to set a lap, and look how it's played out for him. Was there potentially more time on the track if Ferrari, with Charles Leclerc, just went out a bit later, similar to Max? Potentially. So yeah, trying to utilise the track as much as possible. And this is where Red Bull excel. Their strategy is so good. They're so good. They very rarely muck it up with strategy. So Norris would have had pole maybe. Yeah, potentially. Yeah, I think so. It would have been very close between the top 4. If Norris was in that top 4, you know. So, can someone explain what happened to Liam? Yeah, he's just struggling with the car. Simple as. Couldn't get the tyres. He says he couldn't get the tyres up to scratch. But we've seen lots of wiggles for drivers through the first couple of corners. And he was just fighting the rear of the car the whole time. Which is clearly indicative of what the drivers who have come before him have also struggled with. So yeah, he had an off track and he had to bail out of it. So I think they put Liam in RB too early. Look, whether you think they've put him in there too early, if they think he's headstrong enough to deal with the criticism of being in that Red Bull and that he's got the backing of them and going, look, we just want you to get used to this car this year. Like, we literally don't care about your performances. They could do. I'm not saying they will. There has to come a point where if you're Christian Horner or Marco, you have to go, okay, we have to try and mould someone to this car other than Max. Like, we can't just bid him after 6 races. Like, yeah, Max is a phenom. We need to try and mould someone. We need to try and give someone time to get used to that car. And surely after 4 drivers struggling with that car, you can't sit there and go, okay, it's the car, like, it's the drivers. It's the drivers are the issue, you know? Liam needs time on track. Exactly, yeah. It's just getting. I think he'll come good at some point. I think he will. He's also at a track he's never driven before, but I think this is a circuit he would definitely feel more comfortable in than Albert Park. But yeah, he's clearly evidently struggling with the handling of the car. So, and he's just losing time everywhere because he's having to lift off throttle to control the rear of the car and steady it. But that lap by Lewis, just watching it but now, it's crazy how much more planted and smooth Lewis looks on the steering in that Ferrari compared to any lap he did in the Mercedes. So, top speed, yeah, I'm going to do this one more time. What is the time? I need to start work. It's 8:30. I do apologise, guys. This isn't my full-time job yet. If you want it to be my full-time job and provide you more F1 content and do these streams for longer, please hit that like and subscribe button, guys. And please, if you fancy it, join as a member as well. Speed traps. Here we are. So speed traps. There you go. One last time. There's the top speeds. Liam also did well in RB. Probably different driving strategies. Yeah, I mean, look, it's evident that car is, like, the rear end is very twitchy. So, bet it's on Ferrari doing Ferrari track tomorrow. Well, the good thing is for Ferrari is that there should be no rain. There should be no rain, and there should be no pit stop required. So, yay for Ferrari! As long as they don't start them on the wrong tyre. Oh dear, oh dear. What is Max's number normally? 33, I think it is. Verstappen very happy with second. Yeah. I mean, he's outperforming that car, isn't he? Let's be honest. He's completely outperforming that car. But we'll see. I mean, it could be. I've still got a sneaky suspicion. Do you remember we saw it last year? Lando was on pole. Lewis was second. I know, obviously, that qualifying was in different circumstances, different conditions. It was wet weather. But we saw it last year, didn't we? Where Max started, 4th, 5th? And he just drove through like they weren't even there. And just won by like 15, 20 seconds. I've just got a funny feeling that the McLarens might do that tomorrow. I hope not, but I've just got a feeling. But we'll see. And if you want to tune in to find out, guys, click the notification button, hit the like and subscribe button. We'll be back tomorrow for a very early one, 3:30 in the morning for me in the UK and for many of us in Europe for that sprint race. And guys, that is it for me. One last rundown of the grid before I leave. Yes, if you're just tuning in, Lewis Hamilton is indeed on pole position. Your eyes are not deceiving you. His first pole position in a Ferrari. A good qualifying performance for him. A resurgence from Ferrari, perhaps. We'll see. It's a very long weekend. This is just the start of the weekend. We have too many competitive sessions still to come, especially where teams can also change their setups after the sprint race, which could completely flip the order on its head, as we've seen in the past. Max Verstappen, an unbelievable lap from him, nearly getting pole position there in P2. Less than 0.02 of a second, so close. Piastri, less than 100th of a second from pole position as well in P3. Charles Leclerc, 0.2 back in P4. George Russell, P5. Lando Norris with a big lock up into the last sector, potentially on course for pole position, or at least on the front row, and he ballsed it up and had to dive into the pit lanes in P6 for him. Kimi Antonelli in P7. A good showing again for Yuki Tsunoda. The best of the rest in P8. Alex Albon in P9, also in Q3, out-qualifying his teammate Carlos Sainz, who many thought, myself included, would have the better of him this season. Good strong start to this season for Albon. Lance Stroll into Q3 as well, continuing a decent result in Albert Park in Australia. Alonso in P11. Ollie Behrman doing a good job for Haas, being a very, very good job. Much better improvement than what we saw at Albert Park. Sainz in P13 needs to do better. Bortoletto, a great showing again, out qualifying his more experienced teammate and getting it out in Q1 into Q2. Hadjar into P15, had a big wobble into the first corner. Might have been better for him if he didn't have that, but still into Q2. Doohan and Gasly, surprised that the Alpines went out in Q1. Ocon struggling, it seems, definitely off the pace compared to Ollie Behrman. Hulkenberg also off the pace to Bortoletto, but we've seen Hulkenberg come strong in races before. And then Liam Lawson just overall struggling with that car and unable to set anywhere close to a decent lap time. Very, very twitchy Red Bull. And that is it, guys, for this stream. I hope you've enjoyed the sprint qualifying. We'll be back tomorrow for the sprint race. I'm sure you'll all be tuning in to find out what happens. We have a mouth-watering prospect of Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen heading down into the first corner side by side for the first time in a long time. And no doubt Oscar Piastri and Charles Leclerc will be waiting to pounce on any shenanigans that may potentially happen there. But what a day it is. Hamilton in that Ferrari on the front row. But we'll see. The race, as always, is a different kettle of fish, and things can always change. But it's positive for Ferrari and much better than what many were expecting after the poor showing in Australia. So yes, guys, have a lovely good of your day. Have a lovely rest of your day, and I will catch you tomorrow. See you guys. Bye.